Hey guys, it's Rhett from the 100 Acre Wood Highlands. We have had some beautiful weather the last couple days, and it's been really nice weather to come outside and do some projects that have been on my list. We've thankfully avoided most of the great big storms and tornadoes. Had the sirens go off a couple of times, but I love this time of year to go outside and do stuff and get started in my garden. And here, where I live, is actually across the street from where the cows are. And so in years past, I used to get on the tractor and put the tiller on and till up a great big area at the farm and plant a huge garden. But it always seems the last several years that I would get gung-ho, plant a huge area, and then get busy and not really be able to take care of it real well. And now with the girls and the baby being running around and all that, we decided instead to just put some raised beds in our backyard. And so we just got around to planting some stuff within the last week or two. And this weekend I'm building us hopefully a very pretty garden fence to go around it. So I figured I'd show you what's going on around the garden. We'll go check out the cows, check in on them. We've got calves are running around everywhere. It's time to start weaning them pretty soon and sell a couple of those. But just figured we'd give a little update around what's going on around the farm. So let's go check everything out. So last year we bought 4 of these Vigo garden beds. We got 2 of the shorter ones and 2 of the bigger ones we'll go take a look at here in a second. And I really like these because they came shipped straight to us. They're made out of a material that's not going to rot after a few years, because I've built some just simple raised beds out of lumber before, and that works great, but after a while they just kind of start to deteriorate. But the thing I miscalculated was how much dirt the volumes of these can carry. And so we only got around to filling up these small ones last year, and we planted a few things in them, got a little bit of vegetables, but over the winter the dogs really found that they liked to climb inside these and lay down in the dirt. And so that's part of the reason we're putting in the fence. But we decided to take this one and turn this into our strawberry patch. So early in the spring we planted some carrots, and some of those are starting to get fairly close, and some peas, and we've been collecting a little bit of peas every now and then. They're kind of on the downhill slope. But we went and got a bunch of June-bearing strawberry plants. According to the OSU extension for Oklahoma, June-bearing tends to do a little better in Oklahoma than the other variety. But we put those in here, and this is just the right height for Eloise to walk up and pull strawberries out of. And she is a little fruit fiend. She's eating strawberries and blackberries and blueberries and raspberries, and she wants all that stuff. And so, you know how when you buy the little plants from the box store, sometimes you'll get a strawberry off of it, but most likely we won't get many till next year. We had 1 strawberry, and she came up and pulled it right off the plant. And so my hope is that this will start to spread. And there's a few here already, like you can see this one. It started to put out its runner, and it'll put down some roots and hopefully take over this whole bed, and we'll have a nice little strawberry patch for the baby. Then this short one, we planted peas on this side of the trellis and another side of the trellis. And this is just a cattle panel that I actually had over at the farm that was left over from a fence project. And they actually grew up pretty good on this side, not so much on the other, but I think it was because of the wind that kept on blowing it away from that side, and we didn't do anything really to tie it up. But these taller raised beds, we finally got filled up this spring. So there's a gardening method called hugelkultur, which uses old rotted logs and limbs and wood chips and leaves and things that's mounded up, and then dirt on top of it. And that's kind of what we were aiming at with these. We threw a few old rotted piece of driftwood in the bottom, but the power line company that came through and cleared all those trees mulched it up with a massive machine. And so it had bits of wood, bits of leaves, bits of dirt, and I took several scoops from the tractor over here and filled up about maybe 2/3 of this with that material. And then we only had to buy dirt to fill in the top. And I'm sure that season after season, as some of that starts to settle, we'll have to top dress it with more compost and stuff over time. But I love the height of these. I can just kind of come right up and weed the garden. It's easy to water it. And, you know, we're not growing 100 squash plants and 100 tomato plants to come out and go to a farmer's market. We just kind of want something for ourselves. So in this bed, we've planted some cucumbers, we planted some squash and zucchini, and those are all from seeds. in that bed over there, we got some little tomato starts, which we just transplanted the other day, so they're not looking great. They go through a little bit of transplant shock. A couple of pepper plants and a couple of squash. This bed over here is kind of the one that I'm sort of most excited for, because I am using it right now as my little blackberry nursery bed. So these itty bitty plants right here, get a look at them, are Primark Freedom blackberries. They are a variety of blackberry that was developed by the University of Arkansas. They developed a lot of the cultivated varieties of blackberries. And I'm into learning about weird things, and I have found recently that there's about a 12-part educational series on YouTube that the University of Arkansas puts on about blackberry production. And so we have wild blackberries at the farm. There's some variety that's itty bitty, about the size of the end of your little pinky finger, that they have blooms on them right now, and we'll probably start getting some wild blackberries off of those in the next several weeks. But they're a thorny variety. They don't get real big, and they're not the sweetest. They're a little tart in my opinion. But in another area of the farm, we have a whole nother variety that they won't start to bloom really until the first variety is being picked. And I've noticed with those, they get a little bit bigger. Hey, Ruger. And they're a little sweeter. And so I don't know what the difference between those two wild varieties is, but I decided that it'd be a lot of fun to plant a few different varieties of blackberries on thornless plants. And so, you know, the University of Arkansas has developed both thorn varieties and thornless varieties, primocane varieties like these Primark Freedoms, and also floricane varieties like the Ouachita, which we have right here, and the Apache, which we have over here. So I built this little trellis system. It's just built out of a little cut cattle panel and some boards and posts, and bought these at our local hardware store in little pots. And so they're obviously a lot further ahead than our Primark Freedoms, because some of those have got little berries on them. But I expect that they will grow about 4 foot tall, and when we get to the top, we'll either prune or pinch off the top, and that will spur the growth of the floricanes, which is where most of the fruit production comes from. These varieties, part of the plant will die each year after it fruits, and it'll have to be trimmed back, and it'll grow new shoots the next year. So you can kind of see this one's starting to grow tall, and there's some new growth on this right here, and it will grow up through the trellis. Got a few small little berries that are just starting to get a tiny little tinge of redness on them. And if these get tall enough, I will probably put a whole nother little bench of a cattle panel for these to grow through here. This variety, this is my Apache, it got a little bit of, I don't know, maybe got a little heavy fertilizer or something at the hardware store. It looks a little rough compared to the other one, but it's got blooms all on it, just about to bloom. And this is also the same variety, but a better looking plant, and it's got some that are definitely turning pink. The other ones that we planted are actually over at the farm. We'll run over there, check the cows, and check the fruit trees, but they're even further ahead, these bigger plants and more red on there. But I wanted to experiment with different varieties. So I've got the Primark Freedom, the Ouachita, the Apache, I've got Natchez, and I've ordered some Triple Crown. And I'm going to kind of experiment this year to see which ones grow the best, which ones are producing the best, which ones do we like the taste of the best. But part of the thought process is that some of these varieties will produce early season, some will produce mid-season, and the Triple Crown, they'll produce late season. So hopefully we'll have a stretch of blackberries that runs from, you know, early June, maybe late May on through July is my hope. Last thing over here in our little garden at the house is some peach trees. We got these from our local nursery. This is an Alberta peach. We had a peach tree over at the farm that was a well-established big peach tree, and the first year that we lived there where that tree was, we got a ton of peaches. Anna and I made peach jelly, we made peach preserves, and it just made a ton. And the very next year that tree was dead. And so peaches kind of tend to have a lot of disease and other troubles, and you know, they'll bloom and then have late freeze kill it all. But this was fun to plant since that one's gone, and it flowered, and it started off with about 20 little peaches, and now we're down to maybe half a dozen. I don't expect these peaches to stay on at all, and in fact I probably should have picked them off so that there'd be more energy going into getting the roots established and just growing the plant. But I thought it'd be a lot of fun for the girls to seed the peaches on it, because planting fruit trees is a patient man's game. Our apple tree, which we're going to go check out here in a little bit, has finally got apples on it after 7 years of waiting. So I'm really excited about that, but I'll save that for checking it out later. But today, for this Mother's Day weekend, part of the project list is to build this fence. We had have some material being delivered tomorrow, and I picked out some, this was called a goat panel from our local Tractor Supply, kind of 4-inch square, 16 foot long, 4 foot tall. And we're going to build just a perimeter fence around the little garden here with a gate on each side, one over there where our water hose is, and a little bit wider one over here to where we could get a lawnmower in. But I'm really enjoying our little vegetable garden. It's kind of fun to run out here and grab a few peas, and I'm excited to pick these carrots, and I really love squash and zucchini a lot. We eat that for dinner quite a bit in the summertime, so I'll be excited for those to start producing. But now let's run on over, go check out the cows, see the calves, and we'll go check out those other fruit trees over there. Looks like most of the cows are up in this general area. They don't come running quite as hard when it's not winter time, but they still know the sound of the Ranger and recognize it, what a sound a shaking bag of feed sounds like. So let's pour it out and see if we can get them all come up here. Get the camera situated here. Oh yeah, they came coming in hot with that bag of feed. They were ready for some. Always love this time of year. Grass is green, they're out grazing, they're putting on weight. Sometimes they get a little skinnier looking throughout the winter. They're doing good. Little white bull calf back there, he's on our list to sell. He's an unregistered one, but he's real pretty with that white color. I think somebody'd really like to have him. We're going to be putting him on our, keeping him as a bull and putting him on our website here pretty soon. Look at him run. Emporia's bull calf. I had somebody already claim her. They are hoping to get, claiming him. They are hoping to get him halter trained up here pretty soon and want to show him. So I'm real excited for that. Emporia and Momentous both have some really good genetics, and so I think it'd be fun to see how they do in the show ring with those. There's one of our little registered heifers that we'll be keeping. Let's see, what number is that one? If that's 6M, That's Irina's baby. So Irina was one of our cows we bought from the National Western. So another really good genetic cow. We're going to keep her heifer. We only had 2 registerable heifers last year, 2 registerable bulls, and the rest of them were unregistered males. And we'll be having some of those be steers, but not all of them. Back there in the back, you can see there's our Hereford Highland cross coming up this way. Moose's bull calf is our other one that could be registered. And so currently he is kept intact. We're going to see if anybody reaches out to us wanting a registered bull calf, just in case they are. Now, Moose is our black cow here. And interesting about her calf, when he was born, he was a bit more of a red color. But as he's getting older and older, especially around his face, he's starting to lose some of the just plain red and getting a little bit darker looking. I'm not sure if that means he's going to end up a little more brindle colored, or if that means he's going to eventually turn dark like Moose. I really don't know what's going to happen there with him, but I'd like to find a good home for this one. He's about time to start weaning this month also. Let's see if we can sneak up on the Hereford Highland cross. Seems like our luck with heifers is that the only heifers we have born are crosses. Here comes Jasper. She got called late to the party apparently. Hey Bernadette. Hey Bernadette. There's Bernadette's heifer. She's looking real good too. We're excited about keeping her. Let's go sneak up on this little Hereford baby. I think the people who bought the last 2 Herefords from us are going to want this one once she gets older. Hallie, what you following me for? You kind of make me nervous that way. Kind of make me nervous that way, girl. So, let's see. Are they all here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, 26. I think I'm 1 shy right now. Who knows? Could just be roaming around somewhere out here. We had several of them. In fact, close to half of them get out about a week ago. They were just on the other side of the fence where they've been clearing for the power line easement. A big section of that was pretty thick trees, and now that they've gone through and cleared all that out, you can get to the fence, which you really couldn't very easily before, and some of them just kind of slip their way right through. So I need to add that to my list of projects of fences that need to be built. Speaking of fences that need to be built, after we check out these cows, I'll take you over to the apple trees, which also desperately has a fence that needs to be built. That is one cute little heifer. Hey, Pepper. Our pond, big pond. Oh, there comes the last ones. I guess there was 2 missing. There's Gaston and looks like Penny bringing in the rear back there. I don't think there's any cubes left for them. Anyways, our big pond was at least 5 foot low over this winter. Just hadn't got a lot of rain, but in the past couple of weeks it has filled up, and if we get as much rain again, it'll probably go over the spillway. But the aquatic coos are back. They love getting down here in that water, especially when it gets pretty warm and cooling off. So we'll make our way back to the Ranger and go check out some fruit trees. looks so pretty when it's nice and full. All right, so this area over here is actually where I used to grow a garden bed back when I lived at home with my parents. And this whole area right here, I would till up and plant all of our vegetables. And still today, if you come out here, there's some peppermint herbs that are like impossible to get rid of. I planted in the ground one time and they just kind of have spread and taken over this little corner of this area. But I've turned this into our apple orchard. When Lucy was 3.5, we planted this tree as a little stick that wasn't really any different than these little sticks right here. But now it has grown quite a bit, and you can see my redneck temporary fences that I've put around all these things because the deer and particularly the cows love to get in here and browse on these trees. So you'd think with over 100 acres of grass for them to nibble on, they'd be content, but the cows love to browse on little tender tree limbs. But our apple tree here, see, something has reached over and nibbled the end of that one right off, has actually got apples on it for the first time since we planted it. And I have gone around and kind of tried to check out what we got, and I would estimate probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 little apples. And now there's some here on the ground. Some of these have fallen off, you know. I don't really know if that's indicative of something being wrong with this one or just the natural fruit drop that some fruit trees do, because like you can see here, there's 4 all in one little spot, 2 that are decent size and 1 that's a little bitty. I think that a lot of these will kind of naturally thin themselves out. I'm just hoping that we wind up with some come fall time when these should be ripe. But look at that one. Looks really nice. Quite a few. Let's look up this one. I can get past some of these thick branches here. There's a whole good cluster of them right there. So when we planted this one, we also planted a second tree to help be a pollinator, but it didn't make it. And you know what they say about procrastinators, procrastinator's work is never done. I never got around to planting another pollinator to go with this tree until this year. And so I've come in and planted 2 Honeycrisp, an Anna apple because my wife's name, I just thought that would be fun. I don't really know if that's an appropriate tree for our growing zone or not. A second Golden Delicious. This is our little blueberry cage. Like I said, temporary fence to keep all the cows away from it. We'll get rid of that once we build a fence. Our Nanking cherry bushes. We bought these as just little bare root sticks back in the day, and they're starting to get pretty tall. That one's coming up on 3 foot tall. And 2 Granny Smith, 1 at each end. We've added our other blackberries here. I'll make a small little T-post trellis for these. This one is a Natchez, and it's got some red berries already forming on it. Pretty good horizontal primocane there, and you can kind of see these secondary offshoots that are growing off of it. And this one is an Arapaho. So these ones are, you know, obviously quite a bit bigger. We bought these from a nursery that had some kind of well-established bigger potted plants. I believe these may end up being some of our earliest variety because they are turning red already, but some of that may just be due to them being, you know, already kind of an established plant. We had the power line company that's doing the clearing pile me up a good pile of mulch. So this is the kind of material that we filled that raised bed with. I just took a great big tractor bucket of this. But there's some dirt, there's some leaves, some twigs. I think it made a pretty good base for that great big raised bed. Other cool thing I just discovered today I want to show you. Lived here since I was 3 and never ever seen this. We have a mulberry tree. I think it's so cool. I love eating the wild persimmons, the wild blackberries. You know, we got native pecan trees and stuff, but right here by the house, right here by where I've planted a garden and had these fruit trees, and never ever noticed that there is a mulberry tree growing right there. Never know what you're gonna find. So we'll take one last drive up there, go check out the cows again and see them. But if you guys have never subscribed to our channel, it really does mean a lot to us if you subscribe to our channel. It helps the algorithm show our videos to more people, and it really helps us in the growth. And leave us a like, leave us a comment. If you ever need to reach out, feel free to reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. And recently I have started adding some of our commonly used farm items to our store down in the description below. Things like our rattle paddle that I hope use to herd cows around, the halters that we use, rope halters on the cows, and brushes, and just a few other items like that, because every once in a while people will reach out to me and say, where did you get that thing? Well, now we got the ability to tag some of those items, and they're affiliate links, so if you buy them, we'll get a small little commission, but it'll lead you right to what some of the commonly used items that we use are. So let's give one last look at the cows, and then it's about to be dark and we'll head to the house. Well, been fun showing you guys around the cows and the fruit trees and what we got growing on. I will hopefully give you an update soon of our little garden fence of what we've been building. But if this is your first time finding our channel, please subscribe. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching 100 Acre Wood Highlands. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.